You talked earlier about the stitching up, and I want to revisit that if we may, because you've talked about, because I think it's a really interesting story in that Caroline Flack was one of the names that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And Caroline is now no longer with us.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a great relationship with her, and then you did.
We started on bad terms. Do you want me to explain it all? Okay, so we started on bad terms. Well, actually, we didn't start on bad terms, but basically when she was on Extra Factor, she got together with Harry Styles, and I was the journalist who wrote the story about those two getting together backstage. Now, just to paint a picture of how it worked with X Factor in those days, stories were fed from the show to all of the journalists. You know, we all got calls from different people. We all had our person backstage at X Factor. They wanted the drama. That was the judges. There was drama. You know, people like Danny Minogue were kind of swept up into that. She couldn't really cope with it. Sharon probably could because she's like a battle axe and she can thrive in it. But, you know, it was a huge thing for someone like Caroline who she wasn't able to really fully embrace the fame side of things, especially after that when social media came in and people were in her face. But when she got together with Harry, you know, the story got given to me from somebody who was backstage and they were friends with her. You know, this is, that's the shitty way to start the story because, which only now when I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, well, no wonder because her friends were just selling her out all the time. That's a really difficult thing to kind of get your head around. Then to make matters worse, I wrote the story and I think I the exact phrase, but you know, she was 32, Harry was 18, and I described it. Was it 32 or 28? I don't know. You have to check that.
There was a significant age
yeah,
difference.
it was like 16 years, and I basically described it as creepy. Which, you know, when you're backstage and you saw Harry in those days, they were boys. Do you know what I mean? They were young boys.
My biggest regret is being in the One Direction dressing room and having no interest whatsoever.
But you know, after that story came out, obviously it was a big story and it got followed up everywhere. She was receiving a lot of terrible direct messages on Twitter, and it became a lot for her. And that was an immediate regret because she wasn't a bad person, and we did have a really good relationship. We had about 2 years where, you know, if I turned up, we'd have harsh words. It was the start of her just feeling the press and the attention from the public becoming too much. We kind of made up. We had a little row at awards do, and Ollie Murs was there. It was all really embarrassing. But then after a couple more years of me still being in the industry, I started doing the PR for Body Camp, and then that's where we kind of really connect as humans. And, you know, I'd left and I wanted to look after myself a lot better and to work on my mindfulness and well-being. And so I got her to come out and have time out from the world at Body Camp. And she loved it. You know, for her to just properly put her phone down, be in an all-inclusive place where egos were left at the door, and she didn't feel like people were watching her all the time. Because don't forget, when we first started in 2001, we didn't even have camera phones. If we wanted to go out, we could go out. You know, you were in a club and you were next to P. Diddy and Emma Bunton was there. And, you know, like we were all just hanging out. It was a safer place. But for her, it's really easy to see that she wasn't equipped to deal with the penetrating force of a social media world. And that, I believe, is ultimately why she's no longer with us, because it was far too much. Yeah.
Have you done that horrible what if you hadn't made up?
Yeah, I've definitely done it. I mean, look, we made up like a long time before she actually died, but there was definitely a what if when she was, you know, towards the end, when we were doing another Body Camp and I was trying to get her to go and we were talking, she was really close to going, and the boyfriend at the time, she then said she wanted to go with her, and I said, oh, no, go on your own. Like, go on your own and have time out, because I know from experience of going on your own, you're going to get a lot more from it. And she didn't. So And it was not long after. In fact, I think it was only a couple of weeks.
Oh dear.
So,
Dean.
yeah. But it's hard because everyone, you're not an enemy with any celebrity. Do you know what I mean? It's only a game show. Like, everyone knows that with the celebrity world. Even the relation, like, I hope at one point I'd be able to have a chat with Mylene. I've tried to make up with Jade. It's like we're in this kind of pocket of celebrity, I guess. And the reality is we're all human beings.
It's interesting you describe it as a game show, actually.
But it is. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the minute it goes wrong for people, it's when they don't consider it like that. And I feel like that was one of Caroline's downfalls, is that, she was so affected by that online targeting and social media. And, she was very sensitive when it came to people at ITV not supporting her over Love Island, and, them putting her on a ban and getting rid of her. And
then really supporting their male hosts.
It's bullshit. And I don't understand why people get away with it. And then, the first thing I did, which I did very naturally when I left celebrity journalism, is I stopped watching all of those shows. I stopped watching it because how many freaking panel shows where we're pitting women against women, and it was seeing the machine behind it and the puppet master tactics of beating up people mentally is ghastly. And it's going on and on. Look at all of these kids from X Factor that are now taking out their issue with the show and what ITV and the X Factor bubble did to them. It's no big surprise that people are coming out there and there's still damaged goods.
It's in plain sight. We can see how damaging it all is.
It's not rocket science, guys.
It really isn't. And we can all see it. And yet we are participating and not exiting still.
Yeah.
En masse. Do you have an answer? Do you have a solution?
Do you know what my biggest solution is to all of this? Stop watching it. Stop following it. Turn it off.
But people are addicted to it.
They are, because that's the next addiction, isn't it? And it's, we're all complete slaves to the rhythm. But I've been having really good Insta breaks, and I've muted a lot of things.
Muting is one of the greatest.
Mute is the best
abilities
because
ever.
then they don't hate you when they see. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely quite forward thinking with just stop.